Good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the City of Burnside Council on this November the 8th, 2022, opening at 7 p.m. Welcome to those in the gallery and those who are watching from home. Please stand and remain silent during the acknowledgements. We acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. We pay respect to the cultural authority of Aboriginal people visiting and attending from other areas of South Australia and Australia. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to those who sacrificed their lives for this country and its people. We consider in our thoughts all those who today are being affected by war in 52 places around the globe, and especially in Ukraine. And as we're moving towards Remembrance Day on Friday, I would seek your indulgence to have a minute's silence to remember Remembrance Day, the 11th hour of the 11th month, and we'll have a minute's silence as I start by just saying this part of the ode. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Finally, we seek guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Please be seated. We have a relatively short agenda for tonight's meeting since we're in caretaker. Mask wearing is optional, and please remain respectful and patient during the debates to allow everyone to be heard, and use the auto cue system when you wish to speak, and turn off your microphone when you are finished. And last reminder, which reminds me as well, to turn your mobile phones off or on to silent, please. Apologies, I did not do mine. Right. We have apologies from Councillor Piggott and a declaration of interest. Anyone wishes to declare an interest? I am declaring a perceived conflict of interest on item 11.1, as I have had a previous medical relationship with one of the proposed board members. Right, confirmation of minutes. Councillor Councillor Cornish, you have moved, and it has been seconded by Councillor Hughes. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right, so we now... Oh yes, just a reminder about using your buttons. Those people who did the right thing, I rewarded you. Okay, we have no adjourned business. We have no public presentations or deputations or petitions. So I will go through the reports and seek you to withdraw those you wish to debate. So 11.1. So someone would like to move that?
My button's pressed.
Sorry, Councillor Davey, you have pressed your button, and that's so you are withdrawing it, or you are moving?
No, I'm happy to move.
Happy to move it, and that is Councillor Lemon, you seconding. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right, the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee, item 11.2. Does anyone wish to withdraw it? Otherwise, I seek a mover. Councillor Turnbull, moving. seconded by Councillor Hughes. All those in favour? Against? Carried. The Annual Environmental Sustainability Review. Councillor Hubel, you wish to speak?
Very briefly.
All right, and Councillor Davey, you're seconding.
I wish to withdraw it. Are you withdrawing it?
No, it's already been withdrawn.
Oh, thank you.
Right. So that's Councillor Hubel. The report on the financial results. Does anyone wish to withdraw that one for debate? Otherwise, I seek a mover. Councillor Turnbull has moved. Councillor Hughes seconded. All those in favour? Against? Carried. The annual report, 11.5. Councillor Davey, you wish to withdraw it?
Thank you.
And Councillor Lemon, you seconding? No, you were not going, yeah, okay, that's fine, I understand. So Councillor Davey has moved, we'll seek a second when we get to that. Annual report, Councillor Dawes. Are you moving it? Okay, you're moving the motion, all right, those seconder. No, we just can't annual report. Sorry?
Activity report. You're talking about the activity report?
No, we've done the report on financials.
Yeah.
An annual report.
That was Jane.
That was Jane.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Mayor's report. Activity report, yes, apologies. Anyone wish to withdraw it? Councillor Hughes, no? You're moving it? Seconded by Councillor Dawes. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right, right, we shall go back now then to 11.3, the Annual Environmental Sustainability Review, and that was Councillor Hubel.
Thank you, Worship, and Nina Marnie, greet you all this evening. Look, I did want to withdraw this. I just think it deserves some acknowledgement. As much as it's good to pass good work through the chamber smoothly, I think this is a fairly important report that we've signed up to having through, passing our climate emergency declaration a couple of years ago, and is one of the things that really highlights, active or proactive actions. That was awkward. Sorry, that we're doing to look after to the environment. It was disappointing hearing about the pool delays. I think that heat pump conversion is a very promising action that we can take towards our carbon neutrality. So the delay in that and the indicative cost increases, the unsatisfactory tenders was cause for concern, but as we are in caretaker, obviously these things get put on hold for a period of time. One of the things I did want to bring up as something that the new chamber should look at, and God willing I'll be part of that chamber, but we did have a very small amount of disrest within the community about the bin tagging and the negative feedback tags. There were some residents that took very poorly to that, felt very, very uncomfortable with the way that was done. So I think that while it's it's very good educating the community about these sorts of things, I think we just need to tread carefully as we continue doing this sort of work. I take it Councillor Davey has some things to say, so I'll just leave my moving there and yeah.
Councillor Davey, do you still wish to second?
Absolutely.
All right, so you wish to speak now then?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
happy to speak now. Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Hubel. Thank you to all the staff. I mean, this is a huge report and a huge amount of work that goes into environmental sustainability and all of the work associated with this, which, as has been mentioned, is a very key part of Council's work and activities. I just have a couple of questions about, it's disappointing to see that the greenhouse gas emissions aren't in this report. Through you, Madam Chair, if we could get an undertaking as to when there's a likelihood that they'll be brought to council. I have that question. The other question I have is about hard rubbish collection. On page 36, under waste, we've got deliver hard waste initiative to be actioned during 2023, and I'm not sure what it's not clear to me what this is. Is this better management of the mattresses that are being, collected in hard waste, or is it looking at more sorting and to make sure that all our hard waste doesn't go to landfill? So that's another question.
Councillor Davey, you've got 2 questions up already. I think we need to seek
I'll
a response to the first one and then the second one, and then,
We'll
since
have a
it's all
break and
questions, need to ask if there are anyone else who has questions. Right.
Through the Mayor, the delay in receiving the annual stats was explained through the information document and council report. I can confirm that we still don't have it at this stage, but with respect to whether we have an idea of timing, I might hand over to Ms Kennedy to see if she can assist.
Through the Mayor, unfortunately we're waiting on information from the federal government, and we don't have an updated timeline on when that's going to come through as yet, so we're still waiting.
2.
And through the Mayor, the second question in relation to the hard waste initiative. So that was provided, information on that initiative was provided to elected members via an information document some time back. It's a project we were looking at running in conjunction with East Waste to look at potential reuse of things like furniture and stuff that people dispose of typically via hard waste collection for reuse as opposed to it going to landfill. That project had sat with East Waste for some time to look at engaging a partner to work with on that. It's been delayed, as noted in the report. We're hoping to pick that up again in 2023.
Councillor Davey, you, I'm assuming, are withholding your opportunity to speak as seconder because you've asked questions only. So now I'll move to Councillor Turnbull, who's next on the list, to either speak or ask questions.
Okay, I'll speak, please. Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking at page 43 of 449. It's the part about the 2022 planting season. Now, last year I went round and tied ribbons, pink ones, on all the dead trees in the Stonyfield area. The ribbons were taken off long ago, but some of the trees weren't replaced. Now, I'm looking at that, it says the season typically runs from April to September. So I'm guessing it's too late for some of these replacements. I was advised to go to the interactive website, which I did, and I saw a lot of blue dots, which meant impending plantings, but they haven't happened. So if this, my question is, will there still be more plantings, or is this the end of the planting season, September?
Through the Mayor, I would hazard to guess that the planting season is now finished. So any new plantings will occur next season. I'll have to take your particular circumstances on notice, and I can have a conversation with you after the meeting, and I can look into what happened on that occasion.
Thank you.
Councillor Dawes, can you just turn your microphone off, Councillor Turnbull?
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to refer to page 38 and clause 29. It's a question. With the corrected weight for landfill, which is 7,955 in that table because of contamination, have we got a comparison to the previous year? Because when we look at the previous year, it refers to weight before contamination. So I'm just wanting to know whether there's been more contamination this year, or is it in line with previous years?
I think the levels of contamination will be Through the Mayor, can you hear me now? Cheers. The levels of contamination are somewhat similar, and so I would imagine that there wouldn't be much change from year to year in terms of levels of contamination. Although with COVID we have seen an increase in some contamination in recycling plants, and it's something we're keeping an eye on. But if we see a significant increase, we will of course report it.
Can I now speak? Yeah, okay. I love comparisons because they assess the progress of something. So, Dr. Phil, thank you for these annual reports, and they do help us, I must admit. A couple of things for the new council. Clause 75 talks about the next tree canopy assessment, and I'd be very keen to know how we have progressed or opposite over the last, I think it was a comparison to 2021, was it? I did it, or 2020? Whatever it is, because I think there's a view within the council and also possibly by residents that it will go down. So I think I just want to highlight that, so when it does come for our next report, I do want to make the new council aware of that. I noticed the pool heater is not due until 2024, so I take Councillor Hubel's point there. It would have liked to have had that happen earlier, but I do understand the reasons why. And I think generally, we can say that we've moved ahead over the last 12 months in a number of different areas. I do acknowledge that COVID may have affected us, especially on landfill and other areas, but I think it's a good report. It keeps us aware of all the initiatives that we have been putting forward over the past 4 years. Thank you.
Councillor Jones.
I've got a few questions, so I suspect I'll have to come back for. I've got more, yeah, but I'll do two, yeah, and the eclipse doesn't reach totality until 9 o'clock, so we've got a couple of hours to kill. 9:29. The first question, page 41, households provided with compostable bags seems very low, because I seem to recall they used to get delivered to my house. Was I just a lucky person? One of the 17% who got them delivered and nobody else does? Because that, I have to say, I was astonished by how much waste goes to landfill when I compare it to my bins. So maybe I'm super virtuous, but some people must be terrible. So that's my first question. Answer that one and I'll give someone else a chance. Okay.
Through the chair, yes, the compostable bags were delivered to all households, I believe, in the first year or two of the 3-bin system. But since then they haven't been, and they've been available for residents through the Civic Centre to pick up. And we have seen good numbers of residents picking those up. There was a small drop in the last financial year, but those compostable bags are now available through local supermarkets. Woolworths have rolled them out, the Foodland has rolled them out, and research in Holdfast Bay has demonstrated a really good link between supermarkets rolling those out and people using them to do composting at home. And it takes the pressure off council to provide those services. So I think that's likely the reason why the compostable bags have dropped. It's very difficult to make a comparison between compostable bags and the amount of organics waste people are putting out, because there's so many other factors with the organics waste, particularly rain. But we have seen really good organics waste numbers, so I think we should be pleased to say that people are using their organics bins well.
Second question.
Second question, is bins replaced due to irreparable damage? Like they're brand new. How on earth?
You seen those trucks lift those things?
Yeah.
Drag them around, of course they're going to get damaged.
Mine don't get damaged.
I think one of the issues is the sheer weight sometimes of those bins when they are lifted up and when they are bumped around. They can be the lids can be broken off. So that's one of the issues I know that I have seen in my street. Any other answers?
To be honest, I'm not sure it requires an answer. The bins get damaged, they can't be replaced. If they didn't need to be replaced, we would fix them.
And some of them have been around for 10 years. So there's quite a long lifespan now since they were originally rolled out. All right. Councillor Henschke, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. A question for the administration. Thank you. The hard waste at call, hard waste service we have works well for people, I hear. There are some people that also like the old system of putting everything out because they, as we heard tonight, you know, they've probably got a good couch. They don't really want it to go into landfill. So is it possible to introduce an annual collection in addition to the service from East Waste so that we get this kind of community, let's, you know, pick up the couch from next door sort of situation? Yeah. And I know that we have the garage sale system, which is great too, but is there any possibility that an annual system can come back?
Through your mayor, yes, however, that would be determined on council consideration and endorsement to do so. The previous system was subject of council deliberation, and there were several economic as well as environmental reasons for adopting the current programme that we do have, and council adopted it about 5 or 6 years ago now, I believe, and there's no indication of changing the current programme. However, if council wished to consider that again, that's certainly something we could put towards council, and we would consider that business case at that stage.
And I also point out that if people are getting rid of good furniture, there are a lot of charities that are very happy to take that kind of furniture. The Anti-Poverty Network, there's some Vinnie's and Salvation Army and the Refugee Association. So there are lots of possibilities. Depends on what they have, space they have available for storage, but there are places where things can go. If they're in good condition. All right, next person is Councillor Day.
That's right. Thank you. A couple, in relation to paragraph 75 on page 49, the canopy assessment and the canopy cover, is this the same as doing the thermal heat mapping with the canopy cover and that whole balance and mapping process with LiDAR? Is that the... Can you just give some clarification, please, about that process? And then I have another question.
Through the Mayor, the canopy cover assessment and the heat mapping are two separate projects, but they are both being conducted at the moment, so that we'll have results from both and changes over time when comparing to the results from last time. So two separate projects, but we're doing both.
Thank you.
Do you have a second question?
Yes, the other one is the follow-up for, it's the matter mentioned by Councillor Turnbull, para 47 on page 43, about the planting season and the understory planting program. And I think the staff have done a fantastic job getting all of these plants in, and they've given great coverage across to many of the sites across the council area. But I haven't seen any budget lines or any reports about the maintenance program for these and how we do actually prune them and ensure that they are viable and growing and getting thicker. Is there one underway for that? Thanks.
Through your worship, there was a report to council a few months ago that approved an additional FTE in accordance with council resolution when this was adopted, that put on an extra staff member to assist with the maintenance and ongoing management of those additional beds. So yes, when council endorsed the programme, we also endorsed additional resources and dollars to be allocated to the budget at that time.
So they're on board and...
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right, Councillor Hughes.
I'm going to
ask a question as well, and I apologise for not sending this through to staff earlier, but we're all in question mode, so I'll just roll with the rest of the chamber. In regards to paragraph 51, there's a section on tree removals, and I'm just wondering whether it's possible in future reports, whether it would be possible to get some data on number of development applications to remove trees within private property and how many were actually removed, because I think the table above covers what we give to private land. It would also be interesting to see that comparison and whether that data is available and would be possible to be included.
Through your worship, I'll take that on board and we'll certainly consider that for future reports. This report in general considers council's operational requirements, and it includes all trees removed regardless of their size. The only information you'll get on development approved trees are trees of a particular size that are removed. The LIDAR report that was referred to earlier on will give us a much better idea of canopy coverage across the board, and my assumption will be that you'll actually see public land will probably have increased over that period of time. Private land will be another matter entirely, and that'll be something we'll have to consider at that stage.
Councillor Turnbull.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Can I just make another comment? On page 60...
Sorry, is this a question?
Well, I can make it into one.
Yes, you need to, because you've already spoken.
A slight preamble, because I'm commending. We've got council activities with school and childcare centres. It's been my question for the last 3 years, and now it's here, and I'm very proud. But I do have a question. Down the bottom, KeySAB provided resources and education sessions for blah, blah, blah. But when were they? 2021 or 2022? Because there's a whole list: Linda Park Primary School, St Patrick's, Seymour, etc., etc. Doesn't say when. And I would really like to know. That's my last question on council activities in schools.
Through your worship, you'll be pleased to know that we included that photograph, particularly because you asked those questions over the last couple of years. So that's for you, Councillor Turnbull. But I'll hand over to Michelle or Phil. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, all of those activities were conducted through the 21-22 financial year. We don't have exact dates, but they were all through that financial year, because this is a scorecard on the activities through that financial year.
Councillor Jones.
I've got a question. This is page 45. This is tree removal that Councillor Hughes was asking about. 9 trees removed for private property development. Why? Why do we allow that?
Through your worship, I'll pass on to Mr. Heinrich in a second, but I'm assuming it will be because it's in line with the ability to do so under the Act. But I'll pass that on to Magnus.
Through the Mayor, we would anticipate that those 9 trees were removed, make way.
Sorry, just a minute. Councillor Jones,
sorry.
Start again, please, Mr. Heinrich.
Apologies. Through the Mayor, it's our, we anticipate that those 9 trees were removed as part of crossover developments to service new developments on private land.
Right. Facilitate. Do you have a second question?
Through your worship, yes, we do, and we do on several occasions. But as with all of these things, it's a balance. Several of those instances may have resulted in the planting of more trees by the applicant at the time. I'm familiar with at least 2 or 3 occasions over the last year where that's been the case. So yes, I'm also very aware of when our team have said no, and it doesn't happen, and we need to find other opportunities.
I might add too that I have had a couple of instances where people have contacted me where now arborists are not. Sorry, I've had a couple of people who've reminded me that the prosecution that happened earlier this year has had an impact on arborist action, and that people, arborists are now making it very clear that they do not remove trees without the consent or the permission of council. So that prosecution is having an impact, or has had an impact, which is very pleasing. It's not that we want that to happen, but if that's a positive action as a result, that's good. Okay, Councillor Davis.
Thank you. One last question, and this is page 36 in the table, under resource conservation, implement greening of the fleet, and we've got new vehicles and now hybrid where possible. Are we actually acquiring electric vehicles? And also, and planning and working towards that, and also an auxiliary to that is, are we using electric powered equipment such as blowers and hedge cutters and that sort of equipment, which is now capable of not being petrol powered but being used with batteries that are rechargeable? Are we moving towards those? Thank you.
Through the Mayor, I'll pass on to
Councillor Jones, just turning.
I'll pass on to Dr. Phil in a second, but yes is the answer, where possible and where easily supplied, and as long as it assists, enables our operations to be done efficiently, our first preference is to purchase electric, especially with the fleet. But I'll pass on to Phil to assist with the rest of the answer.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, more information will be provided when we do the greenhouse gas section of this report that will include more information about the fleet, but yes, we are certainly moving in that direction. And the power tools have already been moving in that direction because there's an additional advantage in the noise reduction that is great for relations with residents.
Councillor Jones.
Another question, if I may. This is on creek lines, page 47, my favourite topic. I don't know if you've had the misfortune to see what they've done with the creek in the new Glenside development. There's a picture of it on page 336. It's not to vote. There's a question. It's ghastly. Can we rip it out and turn it back into a proper creek?
This is not part of the sustainability report.
It is. Creek lines. Yeah, no, that's illustrating that there's a picture of what they have done to the creek on page 336. But it's relating to creek lines, paragraphs 61, 62 and 63.
Through your worship, can I just confirm that you're talking about the stormwater culvert that's coming through Glenside? To what you're requesting, the answer is no. Can we beautify it in some way? Perhaps that might be something we can look at some stage, but no is the answer.
Right, I don't have anyone else who is on my list. So, Councillor Jones, you wish to speak now?
Well, the supplementary question to that is why can't we do something about it?
Well, I could give you some reason, and that is it's part of the Brown Hill Creek development, and that would have had to have been approved by the whole of the Brown Hill Creek development.
But it's on our land.
Doesn't matter. The Brown Hill Creek development goes through 5 different council areas, and that all has to be agreed to by the Brown Hill Creek development. Anyway, let's. We've had an answer already. You've had an answer already, Councillor Jones. That needs. If you want to pursue that, then after caretaker period, and depending on the election outcome, then it can be explored. Then, right. I have no one here on the screen. So just before Councillor Hubel speaks to summarise, I just want to say thank you for all of the work that's gone into this project, into this report. There's a huge amount of work, and I particularly wanted to highlight the promotional and educational aspects of this report that come through in many different ways, because what we said a year or so ago was that we need to promote more, we need to educate our community more, and there have really obvious attempts to have that have been made already to do that, and they are really implied in this report, so I thank you. Now, Councillor Hubel.
Thank you, Worship. Really very little to add. Then there's a lot of lot of passion, a lot of interest in these reports, and I do thank the staff for the work they've done. And I'm very, very proud to be part of a council that has seen such marked development and improvement in environmental sustainability. Just one quick thing about good furniture. I would recommend people get onto their local Buy Nothing group, which promotes a circular economy of not selling old goods but actually gifting goods. Promotes the reuse side of things quite significantly. So, yeah, I commend this report to you all.
Those in favour? Those against? Right. Councillor Davey, 11.5. The annual report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a minor amendment to part 1 of the motion, and that is that Council adopts the City of Burnside 2021-22 annual report with the addition of the elected member attendance table for 2021-22. And I'll speak to that. Thank you for all the work that's gone into this, although I would have expected and liked to see the report before now, and I would have liked to see, have the opportunity of a draft annual report being circulated to elected members, because it wasn't. And while it went to the Risk and Audit Committee, that does not circulate it to us for us to view and comment on. It shows a significant amount of work that we've done, a huge amount of work. But under the our council at part 3, which is about page 101, it lists all of the elected members and our wards, but there's no attendance rates, meeting attendance rates, which for some reason, and I was told when I asked was because it was the election, which doesn't register with me, because this is for us, this is our business to the end of June 2022, way before the election. And I think with council being the most important, council meetings are the most important part of council's operations. Decisions made by elected members at formal council meetings provide the direction and authority for the ongoing operation of council. So they're a key part of our operation. We have them twice a month. Everybody's very diligent about attending, and everybody else has it in their annual reports. I've checked Norwood, Payneham and St Peters, Unley and Campbelltown all have their the meeting attendance rates for their local members. I think that's a key part. So hopefully you'll support the inclusion of this in the annual report. The only other change I'd make is the
Are you moving beyond changing the motion here, Councillor Davey?
moving beyond,
Well, you've added something to this report, haven't
with
you?
the addition
to the
of
motion?
council member attendance at council meetings table, the table.
Right. So are you going on now to add more to the motion is what I'm
No,
asking?
that's all
Okay.
I'm adding.
Okay, I
I'm
just was
talking to it.
checking. All right.
Sorry. I mean, I'm happy if it needs correction. If anyone else wants to make any other changes in there. I was just going on to talk,
Finish your,
if I may.
your speaking and then...
The
we'll
only
seek a
other
second.
thing that I would change and request, but I'm not moving this, is that we actually have, on page 91, or page, whatever it is, page 6 of the annual report, a picture of the CEO at the Kensington Wammer opening, which is great. And then there's another one on the following page. I'd like the second photo of the CEO to be replaced by something else more general in our community. So I don't think we need two pictures of the CEO in the annual report. Thanks very much.
Right. To the amended motion. You seconding, Councillor Jones?
Yeah, I'll second.
You wish to speak now?
I will reserve my right.
Right, councillor Hughes?
I just have a question. I had a quick scan. Is that consistent with previous reports? 'Cause I don't think it was in the 2021 report.
Through the chair, historically we have had the meeting attendance. I'm not sure about last year. I haven't looked at last year's, but in previous years we've definitely had the meeting attendance records for council members.
There was a reason this year why you didn't include, would you like to explain that, please?
Sure, through the mayor. This year we chose not to include it because of the election year, and we've chosen not to include a number of the non-legislated requirements. So this was one of them. So it's not legislatively required to have the meeting attendance in there. So the two changes we've made this year is the mayor's message and the attendance one.
Councillor Lemon?
Thank you. I just wanted to commend the staff on an excellent annual report. I really think that the way that it's been set out makes it very user-friendly. The little tables and the breakout boxes are fantastic. In terms of not having the number of meetings we've had in an annual report, I calculated this year that since I was elected in 2010, there have been 302 council meetings. And tonight is my 299th council meeting. So I think it's quite handy to have that in the annual report. It certainly was for me in the past. But if it's not mandated, you know, why indulge us is all I would say.
Councillor Henschke?
Through the Mayor, I'd just like some clarification, please, with the wording of the resolution. Just now, what Council is considering is including attendance records of Council meetings. But there was also discussions about changing photographs, which is not in the resolution. So unless it's specifically in the resolution, that's what we'll be following.
You're just going to put in another tab?
If this is passed by Council, it'll be attendance records only.
Councillor Henschke?
Thank you, Mayor. I thank you, Councillor Davey, for pointing this out. I didn't notice that. And so what I've just done while we're here, I pulled up online the previous annual report and compared the contents subject lines, and there seems to be several others that are not in ours this year. For example, legal costs are not, are they in there? Oh, sorry, I'm reading the other way around. In previous years, we didn't have legal costs, and we have it here. And yeah, but in the contents for 2021.
Are you getting to a question?
I'm speaking, and I'm speaking to it, and my question as well. So yeah, they're not aligned. The contents are quite different. So is it all to do with the election, or have we not decided not to have things like we've added interstate and international travel, for example, and that wasn't in the previous report. We've added gifts and benefits, and that wasn't in the previous report, according to the contents page. We've added legal costs, but that wasn't in the previous report as a contents section.
All right.
Thank you.
Through the Mayor, that is correct, Councillor Henschke. A number of new requirements have been introduced through the LG reforms, some of them being training, interstate travel, credit card expenses, legal costs. All of these requirements are new, and hence there's a difference between the annual report last year and this year. There was an info doc sent to council members detailing all the requirements that are coming in this year.
And this was approved by the Audit Committee, and it was analysed very clearly as to what the new requirements were at the last Audit Committee meeting.
Okay.
Councillor Joan.
I've got a question, if I may. This is on page 109, performance highlights. There were apparently 1,312 development applications received. Can you tell me how many of those were non-compliant with the development regulations? And of those non-compliant applications, how many were approved?
I think you know my next comment will be, we will take that on notice and get back to you.
Thank you.
Councillor Dawes.
Yes, I just wanted to highlight one particular page of the annual report for the new council. I know I've said this a couple of times tonight, but I think it's very important for us to pass this on to the new council and to highlight it. It's on page 93, and it highlights some of the results from the annual community survey. And we do rely on that heavily here. And, you know, things on the recycling, some on composting, where the Burnside ward had the highest of it all. We had a lot of trees in Burnside ward, so there's a lot of bark and leaves. But it talks about tree canopy, and the one that I'm always interested in is that 9 in 10 appear satisfied with the amount of passive recreation opportunities in their area. So that's very, very high for me. I wouldn't have thought it was as high as that. I'm not talking about active recreation, I'm talking about passive. So I want to encourage the new council that when they do come on board, that they look at these results from the annual community survey to guide them in their future decision making.
Thank you. Councillor Cornish.
Thank you. Just a question of the administration, if I could. With the changes in the legislation recently, and obviously there's no requirement to have the table of meetings and attendance record. Is there any rationale as to the state why they've changed that, or they got rid of that, or was that even a requirement in the previous act?
Through the Mayor, I don't believe it was ever legislated, and it was just conventional practice to include that. But I don't believe it's something that they've taken away through the reforms.
Okay.
So it's really your choice as to whether or not you make a decision to have it included or not.
So it's a convention, and last year we chose not to have it in, so you know, it wasn't in last year's annual report. So I am trying to decide which way to vote, I suppose, on this motion as it stands, because that's the big change. Thanks.
Councillor Hughes.
I just have a question. Is that information available publicly anywhere else, meeting attendance from previous years?
Minutes.
Through the Mayor, only in the minutes, but not as a summary.
Right, I haven't anyone on the screen, so I'm going to go back to Councillor Davey.
I'll just jump in quickly, sorry.
All right, Councillor Hubel.
Sorry, Your Worship. Apologies, Councillor Davey, for jumping in at the last minute there. Yeah, look, I just did want to comment on the change. Obviously, we're doing more than approving the annual report. We're now choosing, or I guess we're overriding administration's decision on information to or to not include. Now, look, this is information I don't have a problem being in there, so I'm not going to reject this motion for that reason. But I think that perhaps another forum, like an opportunity to review a draft, perhaps would have been would have saved us from having this conversation, you know, during the debate for this motion. I'd like to think that annual report being approved by council is something that we can just do quite smoothly, and as a sign of faith and trust that we have in our administration, that we can accept the decisions that they are making, and I guess be respectful of that process. So I think that having something maybe a little bit earlier would give the opportunity for those elected members that wanted to challenge these sorts of decisions, would give them the opportunity outside of this particular motion, which I would, as a rule, like to see pass through smoother than it has been.
Just take this opportunity through the Mayor just to clarify that point while we...
Excuse me,
So, it's okay. Why we didn't specifically send in an info doc just as a standalone document and invite that opportunity, it was included in the Audit Committee agenda and then the minutes that was circulated to all members, and they had an opportunity to have comment at that stage if they chose to do so, just to clarify.
Right, now, did you wish to speak, Councillor Cornish?
I wanted to ask a question if I could.
That is fine.
Thank you. Generally, there's a time frame that these have to be done and sent off to our higher powers. What is that time frame, and can you meet the time frame with collecting and putting together a new table and inserting it somewhere in this document?
Through the Mayor, the time frame is 30th of November. Council needs to adopt it, but we can meet the time frames in terms of finalising the design if we put the table in.
Thank you.
All right, then I will go now back to Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for your input, and thank you to the staff. As I acknowledge, this is a great annual report. It's great to see the summary of all of our work ending 30th of June 2022. But I reiterate, councils are the most important part of council meetings are the most important part of council's operations. We make significant decisions here, and we provide the direction and authority for the ongoing operation of council. I mean, that's just a basic given. And I think it's good governance and entirely reasonable that the performance of elected members in attending council meetings is publicly reported. It's always been so. It's a part of public reporting in state government reports, private authorities, private companies report the activities of their directors and their decision makers in whatever form. So I think while I understand the reasons that we've been given for this omission, I think our community would looked and like to see what the attendance records are among all the other information and the volumes of information that's there. I think it's good practice, and we don't have to do the absolute minimum in our annual report. We like to show how terrific we are at Burnside, and I'd like to see us being gold standard. I'll leave it at that. Oh, the other thing is I would have appreciated, notwithstanding that the annual report was considered by the Audit Committee, I think because of its importance and because of our importance as decision makers, that we warrant getting a draft copy well before the finalisation time for us to be able to have input and provide comment in our annual report. So I hope that can be normal practice in times to come. So hopefully you'll support this small change. Thank you.
All those in favour? Those against? Carried. That brings us to the end of our business for tonight's meeting. I would like, however, to take this opportunity to thank everyone present for their service to the community over the last 4 years. I wish everyone there are 2 people who are already returning. I wish them luck in the future, and I also wish everyone else, I first of all want to say thank you for everything that you have done and all of that you have worked for and all the passion that you have displayed in the council meetings and all of the work that you have done behind the scenes with your community over the last 4 years. And for those of us who may be leaving, we may have a better life to live, I don't know, but whatever happens, I would just want to wish you all the thanks and good wishes for the future. And I would like to provide the opportunity to go around the table, and I'll start with Councillor Henschke, because she just happens to be right here, and give everyone the opportunity to say a few words if they wish to finish off the meeting. So Councillor Henschke. Sorry? The 3-minute rule. Yeah, the 3-minute rule applies. Are you doing that, Mr. Heinrich? Good.
Wow, okay, thank you. This is exciting. Thank you all
and thank you all, community. I nominated and like my co-councillor, we were elected unopposed, and I do thank the community for their support again, and we very much look forward to working with the new chamber. So all the best to you all. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish.
I usually like to pre-prepare these things, Your Worship. Thanks for springing them. No, it's all good. Look, it's certainly been it's certainly been a an interesting 4 years with COVID and the challenges that's brought. I'd like to thank the staff massively for all the work that they've done through that period, the innovation that they've done, some of the huge projects. You guys are always belting well above your weight for this council, and we thank you very deeply for it. I know we can be very hard, we as in the collective community, and you guys cop quite a bit of wrath from everyone, but I would desperately say that I think you're all worth your weight in gold. You really do some amazing work, and it's shown in this chamber every time because we're so interested and engaged with everything that you do. So thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you all in the next 4, maybe 5 years.
Councillor Hughes.
Most of you will know I will not be returning to the chamber for the next 4 years. About 4 years and 2 months ago, I had this crazy idea that perhaps I could be an elected member, and my husband said, "You'll never find the right time to do it. If you want to do it, we'll make it happen." I've since spoken to him and told him if I come up with crazy ideas again, stop being supportive and shoot me down. But in all seriousness, I have really enjoyed the challenge of working in a different environment to the way that I work in my normal workspace. My workplace, we're all working towards a common goal. And when I came to council, I thought we'd all agree a lot more on what comes to the chamber, but I guess that's democracy and diversity of thought. So it's been a really interesting challenge to see where we land. And I spent a lot of the first year sitting on the fence, not knowing quite where to come. And I think, you hear decisions that council make and you think, it's such an easy decision, what do they do that for? And then you sit in the chair and you have the pressure of your community and the people that you sit around and the staff who have written great reports and gone to a lot of hard work to provide us with the information. And it does make some of the decisions that we've made really difficult. But I think we all stand by as an elected body and should be proud of what we've achieved over the last 4 years. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with everyone around the room, and also, most importantly, the staff, because at the end of the day, this is just a room that asks a lot of questions and perhaps comes up with ideas, but at the end of the day, it's the staff that actually go out and make these things a reality for our community. It has been an absolute pleasure to represent the people in the area that I live, and I certainly hope that maybe at some point in my life, when I come up with another crazy idea, maybe I'll be back here, but maybe when my children are a little bit older. I think reflecting back on the involvement that my children have had, there are not many other kids in the city of Burnside who would know this much about local government. They've attended meetings, they've heard about Euro Water, you name it, they've heard about it. So I think I'd just like to thank everyone in the chamber for their support and their patience, because juggling coming to the chamber with 2 young children has certainly been a challenge. Most importantly, would like to thank my parents, Andrew's parents, and Andrew for his support, because to be honest, I wouldn't actually be able to sit here every second Tuesday if I didn't have that support network of people around me. So thank you to them and also to this group of people. Thank you.
Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been an honour and a privilege to serve my community, the City of Burnside, as I complete my 4th term as an elected member. It has been a challenging time this term, with the COVID pandemic casting an absolute swathe through this time, and our whole community. The administration has done a sterling job, fantastic job, with great dedication, hard work and flexibility to steer us through this difficult time, managing staffing needs and protecting staff, meeting community needs, working with us to keep the business going and decision-making going. And I think this was a really difficult time for everybody, but the leadership that was demonstrated is to be commended. And I know it was very tough, but I think we've come through it. I think we're all exhausted, but I think we worked together really, really well. It's been a pleasure to participate in the robust debates around the chamber, and there have been robust debates and interesting debates, but I think we've worked, we might disagree and agree and not agree, but we debate issues and we work out cooperatively what's the best for our community, and I think that's been a hallmark of our this term, the last 4 years on council. So thank you. I thank my community for the privilege. I hope I might be re-elected for another term. If not, it's farewell, and I'll get back to gardening and walking the dogs. Thank you.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Your Worship. 8 years ago, I was elected to council. I think I was 24 at the time, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, with high aspirations. And in the last 8 years, I've spent a lot of money, like a lot of money. And I'm incredibly proud personally of what I've been able to achieve. I think that if you go and seek power and then you obtain it, it's your duty and you have a responsibility to wield it. You know, we're not here to be bureaucrats. We are here to implement change. And I'm very pleased at the change that I've been able to have with Kensington Gardens Reserve southeastern corner, the redevelopment and plans for the cricket and rugby club in Kensington Gardens Reserve, a 25-year master plan, the upgrade to Penfold Park, and also McGill Village, have been a huge addition to the McGill and Kensington Gardens ward. I think it's been essentially redone in all of those major areas. And that's one of the reasons why I won't be recontesting this election. A lot of my residents have asked me if I'm going to run again, but I've pretty much done everything that I can possibly see that needs to be done in my electorate. And as a result, I think that it needs fresh eyes and someone with a renewed passion and vigour and vision for the Kensington Gardens and McGill ward. Obviously, I have my sights set on another electorate, and I do have a vision there, and I'm contesting that election at the moment, and hopefully I'll be successful, but who really knows? Councillor Piggott has been an absolute mentor and inspiration to me. He's been a very important person in my life, quite a stabilising influence many times in the council. Said, "Hey, shut up." No. And then, Sarah goes, "Go get him," or Jane eggs me on and Councillor Piggott reins me in. It's been an absolute pleasure to be his co-councillor, and I'm very honoured to have worked with him, and particularly in times of crisis. I remember this council has seen times of crisis, and Councillor Piggott and I would go and meet on his balcony, grab pizza, and we would figure out a plan. And then we implemented that plan, I think, very successfully as we dealt with some very, very significant challenges with this council. To the five of you who were with me 8 years ago, God, that was tough. And we've seen some incredibly difficult times in that last council where we're together, and I think that will bind us together really forever. And to the administration, particularly to Barry and to Martin, I really enjoyed working with you, and I hope that I've been able to support you as well as much as you've been able to support me. Councillor Lemon, my partner in crime, I'll be sad to see you go. I love our phone calls and the time we spent together, strategising and thinking about the upcoming council meetings. I know that you're contesting your election. I wish you every luck in that. You truly are an inspiration to me, and you've been a significant mentor. You've roused on me a number of times, and I think I'm a much better man for it. So I really, really appreciate your input into me personally and the time we've spent together. So, yeah, thank you. It's been a glorious 8 years, and I think I've achieved a lot. And I await the outcome of the next election.
Thank you. Councillor Lemon.
Thank you, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Councillor Davis. I have to say thank you for what you've just said. It's quite emotional, really. When I was first elected 12 years ago, I felt like I'd fallen into it, and I'm pretty much sitting in exactly the same spot, different chamber, same spot, as the very first council meeting. No, I was always on this side, gallery behind me. Felt like I've fallen through a wormhole in space into local government land because I had no clue about what I was letting myself in for. And boy, has it been fantastic. I have loved every minute of it. It has been the most wonderful experience. It's been such a privilege. I've met fantastic people. I've got to know my neighbourhood really well. I have got to know the most fantastic people, the residents in my ward. I have found without exception pretty much are generous, open and fairly easy to get their opinions. They're always very grateful when you listen to them. It has been brilliant. I didn't expect to get friendships, as Councillor Davis has just said, when I was elected 12 years ago. And I had no idea all those years ago that I would gather so much local government knowledge just from reading my 700-page agendas over the last 12 years. The sorts of things that I learnt have been fantastic. Of the things that I'm really proud of, one of the things we did in our first term is pull out Glenunga Hub, which had stalled, and over the first 4 years and into the next council, we actually built what I think is the most fantastic place. I will say the bell's gone off. I will say also the thing I'm most proud of is the shed. What was a depot, an underutilised piece of council land, is an international award-winning thing that we built between us, and that is the most brilliant piece of community infrastructure that is used by people on a daily basis, and I just think it's brilliant. It's been a privilege. I've loved it. I hope I come back, but if I don't, I will always leave with warm memories.
Councillor Turner.
Right, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank you all, but particularly the staff. You've been so terrific, marvellous to a hesitant speaker who's grown and learnt a lot in the last 4 years. It's been so interesting, but what I've learnt is that things don't move quickly in the council. I'm not being rude. I always thought they did. Why wasn't that done? And it wasn't done. Now I know, I understand why. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for my co-councillor who's become a friend. You're talking about friendship. And we're able to bounce ideas off each other and sit and have a coffee, chai latte, and bounce ideas and see what we're going to do next. I can't wait for the Anzac Lookout upgrade and the Belliette. I can't wait for the Green Hill and Hallett intersection to get moving. That'll be really, really good. I look back at that first meeting we had here. There was I, a rabbit in the spotlight. I had no idea. And the ex-CEO took us under our wing, both of us took under his wing, and we went through the whole meeting again with him. My word, that made a difference. So thank you, everybody, for putting up with me, and I've really, really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes. Turnbull, can you turn mic off?
Yeah, I'm hoping that Councillor Lemon has actually counted right. What about those special council meetings we had? Look. Yes, okay, we'll count those. Look, I want to talk about Councillor Turnbull a little bit later, but I'm going to miss Councillor Giggle over there, right? I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss Grant's amendments, very much so. I'm going to miss the "in my view" comments. I'm going to miss, and I've asked him to spell this somewhere, I'm going to miss the Ninamana comments from Ninamani. Well, I've got it, N-double-N-I, you told me how to spell it last time. So I'm going to miss all those things. I have hit Councillor Jones a number of times, as you're probably aware, during meetings because of things he said. But look, we have thoroughly enjoyed it. Councillor Turnbull and I did not know each other until we were inducted. What's the word? When we did the oath, did not know each other. But we've developed such an excellent working relationship and an enduring friendship because of it, you know, and so our partners know each other and all that sort of thing. So she's right, we were rabbits in headlights when we started. We didn't, when I think the Mayor said, well, who's going to withdraw the item? We didn't have a clue what was happening, did we? What are they withdrawing items for? We didn't actually understand any of that. So I'm glad we've got a bit different for the new council, where we've got a bit more of a transition time. My last comment has to be with the staff. I've thoroughly enjoyed dealing with the CEO, and Martin, and Barry, and Karishma, right? And there are group managers underneath them as well who have given Councillor Turnbull and I some excellent advice over the last 4 years. I don't want to forget that. We've enjoyed, obviously, your humour, Barry. That's helped us a lot. But overall, look, I think this is an excellent staff as well. And we had some good times here where we debated things strongly, and there were a couple fireballs and that sort of thing. But this council has done so much over the last 4 years that we don't recognise it sometimes. But when we think about it, hey, we did do that. And there were a number already mentioned tonight, a number of excellent projects. But thank you, and let's wait for the weekend.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I wish I'd prepared something too, Peter, but I'd like to thank you all. I think we have achieved heaps over the last 4 years. Particularly for me, I think the two key achievements, certainly that I think Paul and I have achieved, is the community garden in Laurel Avenue in Linden Park. That land would have been sold, I think, and it's now a great community facility. I'm really proud of that. And the fact that we got Linden Park taken out of the general neighbourhood zone in the planning reforms and kept in the suburban neighbourhood zone, and the other benefits that came out of that, with established neighbourhood zones being created, the Hills neighbourhood zone being created. These are our campaigning as a council to the state government on that will have a lasting effect on people living in this area for decades to come, and I think that is a massive achievement. I would like to thank Paul. He's been a great co-councillor. This job would be so much harder if you hadn't been such a great bloke and working with me to get things done. I think it's really helped the people of our ward, and the cooperation and being able to share the workload has been great. You know, if you're busy and someone can pick something up, it's been fantastic. So thank you, Paul, for that. Staff, thank you very much. This is so different from my day job in that I don't have to execute anything. We just make decisions and you do it. I feel a bit like Captain Jean-Luc Picard, whose famous catchphrase is "Make it so, number one." And yeah, we say "Make it so," and it happens, and that's great. So I've had a great time personally. Yes, made some lifelong friends, I suspect. Great chatting to you all before meetings. Those of you who, occasionally want to discuss things, that's been fantastic. Hey, I even got to be on national television. How good is that?
We all did.
Mel and Koshy said I was the best councillor in the whole of Adelaide. I mean, you can't get better than that. So thank you very much all, and I hope to see many of you around the table again.
Councillor Hubel.
Thank you, Worship, and I do appreciate the time going around the circle that this has given me to think about what I'm going to say. Unfortunately, I'm no real closer to it. I guess by way of not repeating things too much, I do want to obviously thank the amazing staff, CEO Chris, Barry, Martin. It's a shame two of those could not be here this evening, but also all the group managers that have made themselves available. Your patience, your tolerance, your generosity of time and spirit is very, very beneficial to help us newbies. Talk about deer in the headlights. I remember when, and this is a segue to talking about Harvey, I remember when we were first nominating, and it was an unusual situation in the Beaumont ward last election because the two incumbents were both moving on, and we had 4 new faces applying to be Beaumont ward councillors. And I approached Harvey and I thought, oh look, let's catch up and have a chat. Let me scope you out, figure out what your strategy is and that sort of thing. And we met at the only pub in Burnside, and we started with a beer each, and we were having a chat and told each other our life stories, and slowly started to just reveal ourselves little by little to each other, realising, actually, this guy's all right. I think this works, actually, and there's actually not a lot of point of difference in a lot of our attitudes towards things. I think we're very different in a lot of ways. Those that know us know that we have some key differences, but what we have in common is actually more valuable. And I think any of the candidates for the upcoming election that are listening in tonight, the advice I would give you, whether I'm in this chamber or not, come next meeting, would be approach the relationships that you have with your colleagues in this chamber with a spirit of productivity, compassion, respect, and at all times a mindfulness of what is best for the city of Burnside, not what is best for yourself. When things have been bad in this chamber, it's when things have been personal. The arguments we've had in this chamber have not been about philosophical approaches to the way the city should be run. When things are personal, things are bad. So my hope for the new chamber is that things are good. Things have the opportunity to be as productive as possible. And look, this is a great chamber that we have here. When people ask me, oh, how's work on council going? I'm like, you know what? It's 12 really different people around the chamber. There are 12 really different people. 13, I apologise, Your Worship. And we all have a lot that's different about our lives and where we come from and what we bring to this table. And it's been a very, very good mix. So respect and love to you all. And whether I do or not see you at the next meeting, I wish you all the best.
I just want to finish off by saying it's been a pleasure leading you over the last 4 years, and after 8 years prior to that as a councillor. And no matter what happens from here, what I have really learned over the last 4 years as mayor is how strong our staff are and how they show the way to so many other councils. And every time I represent you or have represented you at meetings or official events, I am reminded how good our staff are and what leadership that they show in the local government association. So I want to say thank you to all the staff because you have been phenomenal. And we have really had some struggles over the last 12 years and we have overcome them. And I honestly believe that we have now emerged as a really positive council. And in the community, I believe we have reached that positivity that we need. And I think we can all say that we're proud to serve our council. And I like to think that all of the staff are very proud to work for the city of Burnside. So my closing comments, and I will close the meeting at 8:19. And thank you.